Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to round 2 of our FA Casuals tournament. This time we are on series. I'm still Blues here with Urand.
Hello, hello.
We have a lot of green prices this time.
And not a lot of resources.
A lot of cliffs and hills.
Just nice scenery, pretty
There's a
landscapes.
nice scientific spot in the southeast corner. Maybe a nice scavenger near there as well. There are nukes available.
To make it even more fun for everyone. I'm once again concerned with the silicon. The glass is really high, and this is an electronics colony this time around.
That is definitely going to be difficult. I think I still end up being scientific just to avoid the nuke problem, but
It's a reasonable decision. I guess the other option would be scavenger. There's quite a lot of carbon in that little spot, even though it's all nukeable.
right. The other thing to watch out for this game, power starting high, and 3 uranium tiles. Going to be difficult in a lot of markets. There's some garages too to help out.
An expansive HQ has been upgraded.
It is interesting.
Everyone is still not sure what the hell they're supposed to do here.
Yeah. Definitely interesting to me that Colonize chose expansive over scientific, but especially since the iron is medium, might still work out. He has caves to work with. If he just goons that, he'll be okay for a while.
Of
If he
course,
grab that high uranium, that'll help.
yeah, that's a pretty good thing. It's also close enough, so again, if you ever run a situation when you don't need this uranium, you can transition it into something else. It's reasonably close. One?
I am very concerned for Pavlos, going into a lot of steel and not bringing in any iron.
That's not gonna fly, I'm afraid. Well, he has realized that.
Okay,
Granted, what does he do?
I might just be tempted to go into power very quickly. It would be expensive with that steel price, but he is expansive, so that might work.
Generally, solar panels aren't good on series without liquid batteries, that is. But if you go into power really early, you have the window when you can still make money on power and not be in debt. So you don't run to this silly situation where you repay some debt and then that tick comes around the corner really quickly and you're still in debt.
Instead, Pablo's going into glass off of a single low silicon, joining a glass market that Clippy's already in. Clippy does not have any silicon. That's going to get dicey very quickly.
That's not really going to last at all.
Well, they both will still be feeling better than Adderfield, who has been stuck at HQ1, going for that 1-1-1 play, always a bit slow off the bat. But he should have the upgrade. He just is investing in electronics.
Yeah, I feel like maybe the best decision here is to commit to one thing and wait out with the aluminium. Get aluminium on HQ2. You're still going to be really slow and you're still going to have to play from behind, but at least you're going to get there a little bit quicker, I think.
Right. I'm actually not sure why exactly Adderfield is delaying his upgrade so much. Because, I mean, the electronic stockpile is appreciating in value, but compared to a very cheap HQ2.
It's one of those things that you want to make the most out of your profit, but you're delaying the upgrade for that. And it turns out to not necessarily be worth it. So meanwhile, Clippy has been getting nuked.
Well
On
then,
more than one front.
Quippy moving into 4 nuclear plants.
Well, that's definitely going to repay his debt. Not sure if it's necessary, but I guess he's not sure what else
Power
to do.
shortage.
Oh, that
Okay, that might just win him the game.
very well might. I think the reason why he went into so much power actually is because he wasn't sure what else to do with his claims. And really, if you look at the market, it kind of makes sense. Like nothing else is good, and with
It
the
does.
with the power shortage, that just makes it the best play possible.
Right, I think it's also just a good opportunity to kill power before anyone else could get into it. He's definitely been fortunate that no one's tried to shut him down until just now.
Well,
But I mean, he's made 50k already.
and he's sitting on that money. He's not taking the upgrade, which I think might be the right call. Oh no, he is taking the upgrade. He
I think-
maybe could have looked to kill someone off. I'm not sure it would have been worth it, but
Yeah, it
was
would have
an
been
option.
difficult. I think without the freeze coming down, it would have been a lot more realistic, but after the freeze, upgrading might have been the safer play.
And while power was going wild and everyone was moving into power, life support went nuts. So that's the next market.
This random event helping out with that too. This game's just being very helpful.
I mean, it's just a typical series game, essentially.
Oh, I hadn't realized Pablos' ice situation was so problematic. There's 3 ice tiles, none of them with adjacency. They're all in fine enough places. They'll transition to something else useful later, but
An expansive HQ
I'm
has been
honestly
upgraded.
wondering why he even picked this spot. I mean, sure, there's nothing really good elsewhere on the map, but you had at least the option by the silicon. It would have been closer to the iron tiles that he's using, to the
Right.
silicon, to the uranium.
yeah, the only real advantage to this spot is the aluminum.
Yeah, but aluminium isn't really that far off from that spot either. It's not as good, I guess, but I think the overalls outweigh that problem.
Right, it would have been tempting to found over there instead, right next to the silicon.
Adderfield gets the free optimization center.
24k entirely reasonable.
Yeah, the only problem is that
Expansive HQ
chemicals
has been
are really
upgraded.
expensive, so it's going to be a little bit hard to use, even though the building is just excellent. It's next to 2 machine shops, so I'm slightly surprised that no one really pushed it further.
Right, there's definitely room for a few players to get a lot out of it. Quippy moving into slant drilling.
Also, one more thing about Adderfield is that he has managed to post HQ3, so now he is sort of catching up, and maybe this auction is actually going to be a thing that really puts him back into the game and gives him
Right.
some sort of an edge.
He
Granted,
definitely has been lagging behind, and this is really going to shut him down. He was caving off of that medium water, and now he's just
oh
getting nothing.
yeah, now is when you transition into ice somewhere and use those tiles for whatever else.
Right, they are close enough to his base that he'll be able to connect them up. But Clippy getting aggressive on colonize and might be able to make it. It'll be very close. Probably not going to get there. Yeah, colonize just
Just a little bit. There we go.
okay. 3 seconds. Just missing the majority by last game too.
Yeah,
Hopefully
granted, he failed to buy colonize, but he can make a move on someone else very easily.
Adderfield jumping in makes sense. Pablos is not going to have any opportunity to defend himself. So might as well get what you can.
HQ has been
I'm
upgraded.
a little concerned about that though.
I do see your point. Adderfield kind of does need to push for an upgrade too. His water situation is terrible. He's kind of stuck right now. Maybe that money would have been better off spent on something else. It's hard to say.
I mean, at the same time, it's really not a good thing to help Clippy out, even though, well, Clippy would have gotten that buy anyway. But yeah, he really needs to do something. I mentioned that the optimization center might be good enough, but it's not good enough yet.
Right.
Meanwhile, Clippy is 2 HQs ahead of Adderfield. Now everyone is 2 HQs ahead of Adderfield. So it looked for a moment that he might be back into the game, but now he's really behind again.
And now Clippy's moving to Adderfield.
That's actually an interesting point, maybe, that one reason not to help Clippy out is that he has to commit more cash. And,
Yeah, that is fair. It would have left Clippy a little more vulnerable to a counter buy potentially, and it'd also prevent this aggression right now.
An expansive
Yeah, I hadn't really
HQ
thought
has been
about that
upgraded.
as that was happening.
But Clippy's probably not going to finish. I don't know.
Well, he's making
Clippy's-
a lot more money.
Yeah. So
Oh.
this boost will absolutely finish this off.
Yeah, boost is one thing. Look at the mutiny. That's a very interesting idea.
Interesting. I don't know that is all that effective.
Well,
but
the idea is that he is disconnected from his stuff, so if he doesn't react and doesn't manually ship everything, he's not gonna get the money in time.
which is true, but it also disconnects fuel in particular. I guess Adderfield wasn't shipping very much, just the aluminum, so it doesn't really get him all that extra money if he's going to manually ship fuel. Yeah.
It's a cute play that you have to remember, I think, for future. Just in case. I'm not convinced that it was a good play, but it's definitely noteworthy.
Definitely. Well, at this point, Colonize can make a run at Clippy, but it's going to take a lot more money than Colonize has. Even if he sells out completely, he'll end up with 2 more shares. Clippy should defend himself pretty easily. I don't know why Clippy keeps boosting his solar panels right before night, but I guess he is getting liquid batteries soon, so
Well, it might be the case that it's just a little difficult to tell what time of the day it is in
Yeah,
series.
fair enough. The cycles happen so quickly that can be hard to keep track of.
And granted,
And I
the
guess
night
you're
is.
going to,
Yeah, sorry.
right. You're going to run into some amount of night
Yeah.
regardless, so maybe it doesn't make a huge difference.
And you're also going to run into some amount of day, so you still get something out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But one important thing is that he has had a lot of boosts this game, and I think most of them have gone uncontested.
Right. I think Colonize recently has been doing what he can to try to shut Clippy down, but hadn't gotten a lot of help early from Pavlos and Adderfield in that regard. Not sure what people had been spending their money on.
Nukes.
Yeah, 2 early nukes on Clippy. Adderfield was trying to freeze Colonize. Interesting.
So this is an interesting situation in that it's kind of similar to last game where Clippy managed to get a lot of Andreas' stock pretty quickly and then somehow did manage to outpace him. Here Colonize managed to get Clippy's stock, but I'm not entirely convinced he has an upper hand on him. He's expansive though, and he has a lot of really juicy life support, especially in the food.
Right.
So he's faster at this particular moment, but Colonize is also a lot cheaper.
Right, and Clippy's pulling in that 750 a second from subs.
Either way, it's an interesting race.
Definitely is.
I think Colnez should defend himself, though. I don't think this is a good idea to let Clippy get all your stock.
I mean, in theory, Clippy should be earning more than Colonize, in which case Colonize shouldn't defend, but hard to say. At this point, Clippy is solidly ahead in terms of cash needed to finish things off, and the subs are getting quite valuable.
Expensive HQ has been upgraded.
Also, the liquid batteries are really playing a large part in his success, I think, because water got really expensive.
Right. In part, just that nuke on Outerfield. The sub never really fixed that. Outerfield never really fixed it himself.
Well,
And Pablos also just doesn't have water. I mean, he has this one medium, which might as well not be anything.
yeah, and I think this medium was taken by the AI when it upgraded.
Yeah, that seems likely. Still definitely feels like a bit of a strange fan from Pavlos.
It may have been a panic found, really, because they waited a long time. And it was just the I got nothing situation.
Yeah. You get fixated on like the two usable spots, and then afterwards you just stare at the map and you have no idea what to do. Clippy should clean this up any moment now.
And there it is.
Definitely an interesting one. I think with the way Outerfield did help out with the Pablo spy, that might have been enough to swing things. Because if Outerfield survives, maybe the game drags out longer, and Colonize has more time to catch up, because he was doing a decent job with that.
Now, interesting point that Everfield and Pavlos are actually tied in third this game.
Yeah. Apparently my stream's having issues again. Yeah, I'm not so sure on that one. Just because I guess we can look at the revenue. Pavlos was struggling pretty badly. 2K revenue when he got bought out. Outerfield not doing much better. So I guess that seems reasonable. Would also be reasonable to rank Outerfield higher. Although at the time it definitely felt like Pavlos was doing a bit better, so that's interesting what the numbers say. Anyway, I am going to restart my stream.